Welcome over to Blakeney on the North Norfolk coast. Got an absolutely beautiful late April morning here, blue skies, bright sunshine, and just look at this crabapple that greets you on the entrance here into the garden at Gardener's Cottage. In its absolute best this week, flowering crabapple, as beautiful red crabs later in the season that the blackbirds just love. But just look at it at this time of year, what a beautiful flowering tree in its own right. Plenty to see here in the garden this morning, so let's take you on a little tour. It's a little blustery, so we may have a little bit of wind noise as we go around the garden. Let's see what's happening here this week. We'd absolutely forgotten that these tulips had been sitting in this pot over the last season. Had a geranium plotted in here that's gone into the conservatory to overwinter, but these have come back absolutely beautifully. Tulips rarely do particularly well in the second season, particularly if the compost hasn't been changed, but these are the exception to the rule. And greeting guests here with a few lovely deep double daffodils planted in between them. There's actually what looks like a Christmas rose or Gelder rose in there. They may need to be moved out later in the season, but quite a nice display pot at the moment. The little yellow button rose along the front of the cottage is just about to come into bud and flower. This is an absolutely spectacular beast due to the volume of flower that we get on this. It's going to be doing its thing in probably about a week's time. In the baked courtyard garden at the back of the cottage, south facing, and really does get the best of the shelter and the sun here. Muscari are just about coming to the end of their flowering season. This is just starting in the foreground, and this blue borage that grows wild here throughout the garden at Blakeney is really looking spectacular now. If we just move around under the fig tree, just breaking leaf now. About a week's time that's going to be full on. But look at this borage here on the actual little patio area on the back of the cottage. It just fills in so nicely with the other plants that are just, the herbaceous is just filling in now on the border. It looks so fresh and lush at this time of spring, even without full amount of flower. The borage is just picking up the blues after the spring bulbs, muscari and hyacinths have faded. Won't be long before this Montana Clematis alba does its thing. Look at the size of the bud and volume of flower on that, going to be beautiful. Above it we've got next door's flowering pear trees, which are very pretty, particularly against the blue sky, and then the climbing iceberg on this flint wall at the side of the cottage, yet to show any bud formation. That doesn't really do its thing until June or July even. It's quite a late flowering one in this aspect, but full of promise nonetheless. Back of the cottage looking very nice and lush with the plantings through the gravel. Plenty of hollyhocks coming on, which will do their thing in late summer, and the rosemary again already grown away and is in need of a prune. We'll wait for the last of those flowers to go before we do that, because the bees do benefit from them so enormously. I'm going to cut the lawns here this morning for guests that are coming in to us, I think, tomorrow afternoon. Lovely blue, purple mauves under here in this dappled shade under the flowering pear tree with its silver grey foliage. The Amelanchier now finished. I think we did show you this when it was out fully. It's been a beautiful flowering season for it. And it's just looking very nice and lush and green, particularly in the morning sunshine. Very pleased with the way this garden stands. Everything that's thrown at it basically by guests and dogs throughout the summer season. It's quite resilient. A lot of the plantings we've put in here are now pretty drought resistant, so we can get away without watering even in the dry season. Kate beavering away on the gravel, keep that nice and tidy and cut back for the courtyard seating area and barbecue. And she's going to go for a walk now. I think we're going to take her down onto the front at Blakeney and enjoy some of the beautiful spring sunshine we've got here today. Thanks for watching.